Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out People of Reddit. Story 1. I made someone eat their words. I know someone who is constantly trying to one-up me and it's getting annoying. I do something good and he says he does it better, he does not. The thing he says he's better at the most is math, so I decided to make him pay. I called a mutual friend of ours and I told him to give us random math questions. Whoever answered it first and got it right wins. I got every question right and he failed the easiest questions, 2 squared. To clarify, we have to do stuff that is a lot harder than that, so when he failed it shocked my friend, who acknowledged he is very stupid. Story 2. It's me. Hi. I'm my late teens and especially my 20s. I absolutely packed on the weight. I'm 6 feet 3, 193 centimeters, and weighed approximate 200 kilograms. I didn't realize how big I was until I went on a Kentucky tour. I never listened to my parents or friends who were concerned about my health. So, end of 2015, I decided to get food, fitness, and lifestyle sorted. Eating healthier, walking and just moving more. By 2019 and more than a few setbacks, I'd lost 75 kilograms. Not quite my goal but close. One of my best friends lived in another state and we only really see and talk via FB Messenger. She was getting married and wanted me to be a bridesmaid. Awesome. Happy to do it. She flew me over and I tried on the dresses. I was a 20 seconds by then, but any talk about my weight loss was shut down by her. Even when discussing it with others. This like we're meant to be talking about wedding things, or if you lose further weight I'm not paying for the alterations. I found out a week later that the bride had a gastric sleeve 12 months ago but had only dropped 15 kilograms. I felt awful. I do wish she'd told me and I wouldn't have been so forward about mine. So COVID hit and pushed the wedding till January 2023. At this point I was 80 kilograms and had a tummy tuck. Bride wasn't aware of this. I turned up to the final dress fitting and everyone was gobsmacked. Some were saying I looked great, etc, etc. I can see the bride's face and it was beat red. Your dress won't fucking fit anymore. How could you do this to me? Ruining my special day. I told you not to lose any more weight. I turned to her, scoffed. I wasn't going to put my whole life and health on hold for a marriage that probably won't last. I paid for my dress. Donated it to charity. Blocked all those bitches who were blowing up my phone. Thankfully she managed to find a more suitable girl to be her bridesmaid. It's sad to see a long friendship end over something like this bullshit, but I come first and I'm not putting my life on hold for anyone. Story 3. My old dean hated me, so I made her waste money. I had this dean in elementary school and for some reason she disliked me. When I was leaving school with my mom, she was in front of us leaving too and talking to someone with a smile on her face. When she turned around and saw me, she glared and turned back around. I was a good kid in school, so what could have provoked her to hate me so much? I had a small Pikachu plush that my best friend gave me and she threatened to throw it in the trash. BC, I was talking I think when we weren't supposed to, but still that wasn't necessary. In the lunchroom, I had a toy from McDonald's and was just playing with it and she walked up to me, glared, and said to put it away. I wasn't even doing anything and in 4th grade, so why was it a big deal that I brought a toy to school? When I was chosen to be a key holder, basically a honorable student with privileges like being able to go places without having to ask, I got up from the lunchroom table to go get some water by the bathroom. She came up to me, basically screaming, saying why I got up from my seat, and she knew damn well I had permission to be. I was a key holder. The last straw with her was at community meeting in the auditorium. She was announcing stuff on the projector while I was drawing with my friend in my notebook. I was looking up occasionally to actually hear and listen to what she was saying. However, when I put my head down again, she went to me and took my notebook and pen out my hand and has the audacity to say that it was BC. I wasn't listening to what she was saying during the meeting even though I was. The next day, I went to school and sat in the auditorium like usual and I saw my notebook on the stage. I made sure she wasn't looking, then took it back and put it in my bag. Then when I asked her could I have my notebook back, she went to get it but it was gone. She said someone must have stole it and was gonna get me a new one. A couple days later, she gave me a new notebook and even a pack of colored pencils and I just thought to myself she just wasted her money BC I already got my notebook back. It isn't the best revenge but I sure was satisfied by it. Dr. My old dean disrespected me and stole my notebook. I took it back and made it seem like it was stolen so she basically wasted money and bought me a new one. Story 4. Playing You're Up Every Botus Up with my neighbors. The most heartbreaking thing happened in the past few weeks. Our downstairs neighbors, who were once two college-aged girls who mostly kept pretty quiet, have moved. And in has moved the most annoying, most loud family ever. Which normally wouldn't bother me if it wasn't at the worst times. Mind you, the walls are paper thin and voices carry through the vents. No, it's not enough that their kids are running around and slamming doors and screaming during the day. Which is annoying, but whatever. No. The dad will be shouting at 5:30 in the morning and wake us up on a Sunday so I said screw it. If you're up. Everybody's up. So I walked through the whole apartment slamming doors and stomping around. And then ironically enough my cat added to it by knocking our glass pastry display case off the table. My fiancé was hesitant to finish the cleanup and start vacuuming but I told him to go for it. Luckily, this pettiness doesn't affect any of our other neighbors because us and these neighbors below us are the only ones who live on this side of the building. Story 5. Ban My Hero Reinstall Your Game. Backstory. I used to play a lot of Dota 2, and for some reason loved playing Ogre Magi. So I bought a cosmetic item for the hero that needed to be leveled up through play, to unlock a color change for the item. I played with a pretty solid group of people, average but fun, jumped onto TeamSpeak most nights after work and loaded into the game with 4 to 5 of them. The bad apple, failed streamer, figured out that by banning the hero I was wanting to play, it'd annoy me. I'd usually play 2 to 3 games a night, and by the second ban, I'd ask him to stop and just let me play one game with the hero I was grinding. He wouldn't. The revenge. At some stage, we'd played a game together that required a program called Hamachi/Game Ranger that created a pseudo-local area connection via the internet, and for some reason, failed streamer had his root directories shared. Bit silly. So about once a week, whenever he'd decide to start banning my hero, or was just generally being over the top, I'd go into his Steam directory and just delete his entire Dota 2 install. Sometimes in between games. We'd finish up losing a game, we'd all take a lil break, and he'd come back to not having the game installed. He'd have to sit out games until the next day when he'd completed the download again. He went a little stir-crazy, put in Steam tickets, bought a new storage drive. It kept going for about a year, until he did a full Windows reload, which fixed the issue. As wins. Story 6. Neighbor parking in front of gate. So a few years back I moved into my girlfriend's house and been living together since. House is located at the top of the block, so we have the front side, the side, and the back. We used to park our cars at the front, plenty of parking spots a few meters away from our front door. On the side of the house, there is a sidewalk and coming from the back to the side, there is a gate with direct access to the side road. That house area is small, so a small car barely fits there. As my girlfriend had 2 bunny pets, they live in a dedicated large cage/house with metal frame and glass. This takes space from the back side, so we never park inside. We still use the gate from going in and out with large volumes like furniture and so on. Well, back to the story, one of our back neighbors used to park his car in front of our gate. On top of the sidewalk. Okay, I work at a printing company, we make large prints, ad boards, vehicle vinyl decorations, you name it. I made a small PVC board with the no parking sign and a polite text asking not to park there. Placed the sign on the gate door. Next day, sign was gone. Ripped the PVC apart. We knew who it was, even if I didn't see him doing it. Meanwhile, long before I moved there, my girlfriend had submitted a request for sidewalk repairs to the responsible entity, City Like Reports. They have an app to make it easier for people to ask for public repairs. After the PVC board was ripped, the guys from the city business came and worked on the sidewalks. Their problem was too many people used to park in the sidewalk, apart from that back neighbor, because our house has a ground floor and a top floor, which makes a good shadow during summer hot days. With time and usage, the sidewalk became fragile and started to break. Just next to the house. So they fixed the sidewalk and brace yourselves. They placed a row of pillars on both sides of the road leading to the back alley. This prevented the back neighbor from parking in front of our gate, and other people too from parking right next to our house walls. Next, I placed a new metal no parking sign bolted to the gate. Try to remove that one, smart ass. Funny detail, during the week that followed the sidewalk repairs and pillar placement, that back neighbor parked every day in the parking spots in front of our house. When he always had plenty of space in the alley behind, and much closer to his own entrance. People. Story 7. Petty revenge on my cheating ex-boyfriend. Warning, high school drama. For starters, I am now a 22Y/0 in a happy relationship. My boyfriend at the time, 17M, cheated on me with my best friend. I'll give you some background first. My ex and I had dated all throughout high school, from freshman year all the way to senior year. During that last year we had broken up and gotten back together 2 to 3 times in that year. We decided to sit down and have a chat about where things were going in the future for our relationship. We ended up working everything out, and after that chat it was going well. Well, here's where things get juicy. One day I was texting him and he was acting really weird. He wouldn't respond to me for hours, and when he did it was very dry/short responses. I decided to drive his house after hours of these short and dry messages. I then hopped in my car and drove the short 5 minutes it took to get there. When I arrive I see something suspicious: my best friend's car parked in the driveway. I was confused but deep down knew what was going on. So I walked my happy ass up to the door and knocked as loud as I could. Their front door had a small peek-through window to look through, and I see his 13Y/0 sister pop her head up through the window. She unlocked the door and immediately fled to her room. To this day I commend her for this act of bravery. I walk into his room and see them, half naked with her laying on top of him, kissing all over him. For context, she had always had a crush on him. Before he and I got together she always expressed how attracted she was to him. My other friend, who was in our friend group before all of this, hinted to me that she was trying to impress him when we all hung out together, so, again before all of this happened, I Snapchatted her about this and she responded, "I don't have time for this," so of course, I cut her off at that moment. Fast back forward to when I caught them in the act. They hopped up real quick when they saw me standing at the door and he proceeded to try and push me out. Oh no! I got some stuff to say to this homewrecker. I started to lose it, screaming, crying, all of the above. I screamed at her, "Now do you have the time, BCH? You have the time, I have the time, let's effing talk." She sat there on the bed pinching the bridge of her nose and shaking her head. I eventually left and was ready to forget the whole thing. Until a month later I was coming out of my work building around 10 p.m. It was a large supermarket that had a huge parking lot. I had parked near the back of the store. When I'm almost to my car, I see another car speeding up to me going around 30 to 35 miles per hour. I stopped and waited for it to pass until I start getting bottles and trash thrown at me and them screaming profanities at me. It was my ex and my ex-friend group that we all used to hang out with. I then continued to my car as if nothing happened, as to not give them pleasure. I then started brainstorming. I thought of many options on how to get my petty revenge. I thought the police? No. How about get him fired from his job? No. Then it clicked. His father was an extremely old-school hard-ass asterisk who would ground him for life for this. Plus his dad loved me and always included me on their family vacations. So you could say he thought of me as almost a daughter. So, what did I do? I called his daddy, and explained to the T what he had said and done, and I mean everything. My now boyfriend who worked at the same place, that's where we met, walked me out to my car every day after this occurrence. Needless to say, I never saw him at school again, and 3 months later he was begging for me back on Facebook Messenger, which I promptly ignored and had a laugh about it with my now boyfriend. I am in a 4-year, and still going strong, relationship with a real man, that I couldn't be happier with. Edit, I know. Gotta love the high school drama. Another edit, they're now friends with benefits, they dated for about a total of a month. Guess she wasn't as cool as he thought. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.